Greetings YouTube and fellow Final Fantasy fans, and welcome to part 3 of our mini-series, where we're going to continue exploring the story behind Final Fantasy VII's antagonist, Sephiroth. Before continuing with any further speaking, please note that this video is going to contain massive Final Fantasy VII spoilers. I have also so much more planned going forward with this story of Final Fantasy series, so if you do enjoy this episode, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the FuzzfingerGaming channel. Sephiroth is the main antagonist of 1997's Final Fantasy VII, as we all know of course, and he is often thought to be one of the fans' favourite Final Fantasy villains, at least in the context of the PlayStation era onwards. Previously, we have learned how Sephiroth was created and how he was used by Shinra to lead their battles and defeat hostile enemies, often, by the way, single-handedly. By this point in our mini-series, Sephiroth has learned about his origins as a Shinra experiment. Although it is never revealed to us whether Sephiroth ever realises that Professor Hojo is his true father, he does at least now understand that Hojo is the one who has been using Jenova cells to conduct his experiments. Sephiroth researches everything he can about the Jenova project, using the notes of Professor Gast which he found in the basement of the Shinra Mansion. He comes to the incorrect conclusion that Jenova, and he himself, are the last of the Cetra. He believes that the rest of the Cetra were wiped out after humanity betrayed them 2,000 years ago, by abandoning them to the calamity that hit Gaia. Tragically, Sephiroth has this all wrong. As we have already learned, he was not a Cetra at all. In fact, Jenova was the calamity, an extra-terrestrial entity that crashed to Earth and destroyed many of the Cetra. Sadly, Sephiroth does not hang around long enough to discover this truth. He instead concludes that it is now his very duty to avenge his people and protect Jenova, whom he calls his mother, by destroying humanity. Sephiroth gets to work immediately. He leaves the mansion and burns Nibelheim to the ground before returning back to the reactor. A few of the townsfolk, including Cloud, Tifa and Zack, manage to escape the town's destruction and bravely follow Sephiroth onwards. Tifa, extremely angry about her family and for the people that she loves, races towards Sephiroth and attempts to kill him with his own Masamune blade. Sadly, despite her strong spirits, he easily disarms her and cuts her with the same sword. Zack takes his Buster Sword and rushes into the Jenova chamber, but is also quickly overpowered, incapacitated, and then thrown back out by Sephiroth. Finally, Cloud, who the player has just learned has never actually been a soldier member, but rather was a standard Shinra guard, enters the reactor and is horrified to see his injured friends. With his hatred for Sephiroth kindled, Cloud takes Zack's Buster Sword and charges into the chamber. Sephiroth is caught off guard and Cloud manages to strike him, stunning him temporarily. As Cloud attempts to help his friends, an injured Sephiroth severs Jenova's head and limps out of the chamber whilst holding it. Cloud follows him to the reactor's core, where the Mako energy is being harvested from the planet, and attempts to attack him again. Sephiroth is not taken off guard for a second time, and impales Cloud with his sword. Sephiroth, thinking that Cloud has been dispatched, is shocked when he is overpowered, and hurled over the edge by Cloud, along with the head of Jenova that he is grasping, into the Mako, and seemingly to his death. Now, we're going to be coming back to Sephiroth's actual fate in the next episode, but before we do so, we need to unpack some more of the context for it to make sense. Cloud, Zack and Tifa, unable to move due to their injuries, have no choice but to wait and see what happens to them next. Shinra, still zealously protective of its secrets, immediately begins an enormous cover-up process. They detain the survivors of the Nibelheim incident, including Cloud and Zack. Fortunately, Tifa is spared the cruel treatment of Shinra because she is rescued in time by a fellow named Zangun, who finds her and takes her to Midgar for immediate medical treatment. Shinra quickly gets to work at containing the incident. They rebuild Nibelheim from scratch, brick by brick, exactly as it appeared before. They send in some of their own employees to act as villagers and instruct that they deny to any outsiders that anything untoward has taken place. Shinra decides that their experiments will continue, and with a new set of human guinea pigs at their disposal, they summon Hojo so that he can get straight back to work. Hojo had now theorised that when Jenova's cells become separated from the organism, they would activate a strong survival instinct and attempt to make their way back to the main body. To test his theory, Hojo took his previously collected samples of Sephiroth cells, which contained Jenova DNA, and began infusing them into his new test subjects while they were contaminated by Mako. His subjects were the rounded up survivors of the Nibelheim incident. Many of the tests concluded with Hojo successfully mutating his subjects into what he labelled as Sephiroth clones. It was expected that they would desire their return to Jenova's headless body, which had, by this point, been moved by Shinra to Midgar. Hojo labelled each of the test subjects with a uniquely numbered tattoo before letting them go free. This way he would be able to correctly identify any who succeeded in returning to Midgar in a still hypothesised event he called the Reunion. Incidentally, it has since been pointed out by fans that Hojo's subjects did not really become clones in the strictest sense of the word, since they were never exact copies of Sephiroth in the first place. They were only infected with his cells. Indeed, this may just be another example of where Final Fantasy VII has been poorly translated from Japanese. In the original dialogue, the test subjects were known as Sephiroth's copies or puppets. At least two of the subjects were labelled as failures. The first of these was Zack, who as a member of Soldier was immensely more powerful than the Nibelheim residents and could resist the call of Jenova, much to Hojo's dismay. The other labelled failure was Cloud Strife. Cloud, as with the successful subjects, was indeed given over to the new cells and became a puppet to them. However, likely due to his life-threatening injuries he sustained in his conflict with Sephiroth at the reactor, he became far too weak to respond and instead began to suffer from Mako poisoning. Hojo kept Cloud and Zack captive in the Shinra Mansion for the next several years, while he waited patiently for the scattered clones to do something interesting. However, the body of Jenova simply remained in a dormant state in the Shinra building, and a disappointed Hojo concluded that no call was going out from it that was attracting the clones. Other Shinra scientists tried but failed to convince him that his reunion theory had now been proven false. As we will be exploring next time, Hojo had the main idea correct. However, due to the unforeseen nature of Sephiroth's true fate, the details of this reunion unfolded a little more unexpectedly. I do hope folks are continuing to enjoy this series, and if you wish to see more, please do hit that like button. Since we have spoken of him a lot today, maybe you want to share your thoughts on Professor Hojo. Was he evil, psychotic, or both? Since he is really the one behind all of these twisted experiments, even making Sephiroth what he is today, could Hojo be thought of as the true villain in this game? Let us know in the comments section, and I look forward to sharing more with you next time as we continue to unpack Sephiroth's story in Final Fantasy VII.